Sure there are.
And obviously, this is all about Mr. Swallow.
Yes.
Tell us about Mr. Swallow. Who is he? Why is he
Mr.
such
Swallow,
a big part of your life?
He has been a part of my life, I mean, since I was about 14, 15, because it's actually based on an impression of a teacher that I had at high school. And she taught us GCSE English, and that's why it's quite camp, and I obviously don't play it as a woman. I'm just sort of inhabiting her when I do it. But, you know, she just had this attitude and she sort of talked like that all the time. And I just found that funny and would do that voice to kind of entertain, like, my friends in the playground. And then it kind of stuck a little bit. So when I got into doing kind of comedy as a student, I would do that voice in some sketches and so on. And, yeah, and then, you know, went to the Edinburgh Festival and then started doing it on radio. And so it's been with me forever.
Does she know?
I believe she has sadly passed away a number of years ago, but no, I don't think she ever knew, bless her. But she was, I mean, she was outstanding and an inspiration and sort of a brilliant teacher, but by being completely off the wall and really easily distracted and a sort of frustrated performer in her own right, I think.
And must have been a brilliant teacher because whatever impression she made on you, it stayed.
Oh, yeah, no, completely. I mean, I owe her my career.
But you're here to talk about your plans around this for Christmas, aren't you? Because that's something really special.
Yes. So I'm doing a show, or Mr. Swallow is doing a show called A Christmas Carol-ish, and it's his take on A Christmas Carol. So he's got this kind of company of players around him, and it's at Soho Place this Christmas. And yeah, it's him taking
I
on.
love this.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. That's sort of what he thought was the appropriate.
Never
face
too early
to
for a
pull.
Christmas jump up.
No, quite. I think we shot that in like September. Yeah, it's his take on A Christmas Carol, but it's slightly skew-whiff in that he's actually playing a mean sort of Scroogey version of Santa Claus, who is really sort of stingy and doesn't want to deliver any presents because he says it's too expensive, so cancels Christmas on Christmas Eve, and then the ghosts appear and try and convince him of the error of his ways. But as per any kind of Mr. Swallow show, he's not really very prepared, hasn't really learnt the lines, doesn't know what's going on, and gets confused by all the kind of time travel bits, and so it's a big old Christmas extravaganza.
It's quite hard coming up with something new for Christmas, isn't it? Because, as you say, it's a version of something else, of A Christmas Carol. But how do you get a new idea for, you know what, this Christmas, this is what we need?
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, I think, you know, Christmas, especially, I mean, A Christmas Carol is, I mean, it's a classic for a reason, right? Yeah. And it's such a brilliant tale. And, you know, it feels relevant all the time, right? A Christmas Carol. And so, I don't know, I've always enjoyed, certainly with Mr. Swallow, sort of taking a familiar idea, like I've done shows about Dracula and Houdini before, where people have, you know, at least a basic understanding of the kind of the premise, and then it makes it a lot easier to subvert them because people kind of know the tropes already. With A Christmas Carol, everyone knows about the ghosts and so on, and the kind of the big sort of resolution at the end, and so there's something to aim for, I guess. So yeah, maybe I've not really come up with a new idea at all, but it's been fun to it's been fun to take.
Don't say that. And also, it's not mean, is it?
Oh, it's not mean.
Exactly. It's kind and funny.
Yes, I hope so. I mean, Mr. Swallow walks a fine line between being charming and irritating, which I think is right. And, you know, I mean, that is the nature of the character. You know, he just, you know, I mean, no one could really put up with someone for that long, or maybe they could. But I think, certainly in stage performance, there's always a bit of a nod and a wink to the audience in that it's hopefully as charming as it is.
And it's not a panto, we should be really clear, is it?
It's not a panto, but we are... It's sort of an alternative to a panto. It's still very much a family show, but it's... I wanted there to be kind of an alternative to a panto in the West End.
Because the reason I ask is that pantos tend to run till sort of January, and I always think, you know, the guys that are doing panto, they've got such a difficult job to do after Christmas until mid-January, because you've still got to do the Christmas gags, you've still got to be in the Christmas spirit, and it's sort of early January, and you think, I just need a break.
Yeah,
when do you run?
We finish on New Year's Eve, so even then it feels like it's pushing it. But I think, no, I think, you know, everyone in that week between Christmas and New Year, I mean, you know, it's my family I feel for because I'm not going to be able to be around as much sort of between that period, but they've been phenomenal and incredibly understanding about it. But yes, we are going till New Year's Eve. Our last show, I think, is at 7 on New Year's Eve, just to give people a little bit of chance to get to a party afterwards.
You say that people might get weary of a panto, but if you're an audience member and you've booked to go to a panto in January or to a play on New Year's Eve, I imagine you're probably in quite a good mood.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it's more the actors, I feel, for that. You know, they've kind of got to Christmas and then they've got to do that sort of week between when you think, still keep up the energy, still keep up the Christmas spirit, when actually they just want to lie down.
Yeah, I'm sort of intrigued as to what's so we obviously have Christmas Day and Boxing Day off, but on the 27th, I'm sort of intrigued as to what that audience are going to be like, just sort of weary and
Yes,
sort of
asleep.
stuffed and asleep. Yeah, quite.
As long as you don't cancel Christmas for the kids, that's fine.
No, quite.
So you'll be all right. So you'll get home at some point to see them.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And on tour after this?
Yes, going on tour, doing a tour of Mr. Swallow called Show Pony, which builds on the tour that I did, I think, last spring in 2023, which was called The Best and Worst of Mr. Swallow. But this one's called Show Pony, and it's him just doing more showing off, basically.
Before you go, can I just ask, Ted Lasso, are we
Yes.
getting any more?
There are rumblings, but I'm not an official spokesperson and I get into trouble even if I say yes or no. But, you know,
So
look,
maybe.
I think we've all said that we'd love to do more, and it does feel like, you know, there's a wind of change. Who knows?
Oh. We'll
I've said too much already. It's dreadful, absolutely dreadful.
Very mysterious.
We'll give you a police escort to
Thank
leave.
you very
You're
much.
okay, yeah.
I think you just said yes.
I don't think officially I didn't say yes.
It's on the record. You're
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, you're good.
I think we might write that up in a headline and say yes. Anyway.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you for having me,
Nice to
both.
see
Thank you.
Good
Lovely to see you again.
Thank you.
And Nick is performing in A Christmas Carol-ish in the West End from the 16th of November.